and do what it takes most Army officers 5-6 years to get themselves locked into. Moving on though, once you get set up with that recruiter, and it's the one that you found that's going to work for you, which like I said is probably key to this process, they're going to start getting you set up with things like flight physical.
Flight physical.
Cover the flight physical?
Okay, yeah, I'll cover the flight physical. Okay, if you can find a recruiter that has some connections down at the, you have to find a Army health center that can do flight physicals. Okay, not all of them do.
There has to be a flight surgeon on that base.
Yeah. So what they're going to do is they're going to conduct the full flight physical. It's probably one of the most invasive things that you've ever done. They don't do the cough, but your eyes feel like they just molested them. So what you're going to do is you find a recruiter, tell him you need a flight physical. He's going to know that if you're interested in anything aviation, you got to go get a flight physical. It's a 2-day process. Now, if he's got a connection like the guy I went through had, they can get that down to 1, because I had to drive 3 hours to Fort Hood to go get my flight physical and then drive 3 hours back. Okay, so he got it to where they scheduled it the same day. So I did the first half of the morning, the second half of the afternoon. It's not always that way, so get prepared. Once again, it's just one of those things. Knock it out. It's long. It's boring. It takes forever. You're gonna sit in a room, do beep 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 beep. They're gonna look at your eyes for about 2 hours.
Now,
you're not gonna be able to see anything.
This is a no joke exam. I mean, whether it's street to seat or you're coming from prior. They map your coronary.
I'm not an optometrist.
Anyways, yeah, not a geologist.
No.
They map your eyes, and what they're looking for is a side view to make sure that you never had LASIK, that you're not lying about having LASIK. They dilate your eyes. They make sure that there's no weak spots around your pupils, so toward, eye jelly could pop out if you pull too many G's. They do a 3D test. They do a dimension test. That's
actually a thing, eye jelly.
Anyways, they do an ear test. Then they give this weird stuff in the flight physical. Like they'll give you a paragraph that you have to read, and it's not a paragraph that makes any sense. It's like Timbo Bob rode a trampoline in outer space, and what they're doing is they're testing that you can enunciate and that you don't have a speech impediment and there's not a lisp. And it's just like we said, when you go into this flight physical process, just know they're going to ask you to do some off-the-wall stuff. They measure your wingspan, your inseam, to make sure that you're even able to fit in a cockpit, and then maybe you're not able to fly an Apache because it's cramped and you have to fly a Blackhawk, but you can't fly the Lakota. So they're doing their own Army stuff within your flight physical.
No caffeine. Don't drink caffeine before you go do this.
They hit you with the blood panel.
They're going to do blood pressure, blood panel. They're looking at everything, okay? Clean out your ears. It's just like going on a MEPS, okay? If they can't see into your ear because you have too much freaking wax in there and you're a nasty SOB, clean your freaking ears, okay? Yep. Hydrogen peroxide, get that shit out, okay? Take it seriously. After that, they're going to send, once they have all your stuff, they're going to send that down here. We're all waiting right now to class up for Warrant Officer Candidate School.
They're going to send it to Fort Rucker's Aero Medical Center,
which is right across the street. I can see it.
Exactly. And what that is that's where they look at your flight physical from all across the country, and they either stamp. Now, what we're talking about is you're looking for a stamp. If you are approved to be a flight warrant, you will get a stamp on your flight physical that says qualified, flying duty, and they will send that back to your recruiting station. And don't show up here without that, because we've had people come through these doors
and they don't have it
without the stamp, which is across the street, and they send them packing.
Yeah.
So make sure you're looking for that stamp on your flight physical once it gets sent off and returned. That covers briefly the flight physical. Like we said, eyes, ears, full body inspection, enunciation. Just be prepared for a long couple of days.
Now those are all kind of the things that are sort of in your control, okay? Except for the flight physical. If you have something wrong with your eyes, sorry about that. And that's nothing against you. It's just
it is what it is.
It is what it is. So now we're gonna get into the boring part of this, okay? The boring part is all the freaking paperwork that you're gonna have to do. Now it's a little different between him and I. My process was a little different. I'm gonna knock out the conditional release real quick,
cool,
and then we'll let you get into
the
forms. Okay, so the conditional release for all you guys who are prior service. So like I said, I was 6 years in the Navy, and what they needed from me was a conditional release from my command saying, if you get accepted to this program, we'll let you cross over to the Army, because I still have time on my contract, so you can still do this, okay? So what that entails is, for you Navy guys, and I believe also Coast Guard, you gotta get a 1306-7, it's a conditional release from the Navy. Now, why we have a 1306-7 and a completely different form for the Army, which is a DD-368, beyond me, but you gotta get it. So basically, 1306-7, and send it off to Big Navy. Basically, if it gets approved, they're going to come back, they're going to give it to your commanding officer. That gives him permission to sign the DD-368. That's what the Army wants. Now, before you can even take the SIFT, you have to get permission from your commander, because there's no point in letting you take a test that you're not even going to be allowed to test for the program, okay? So once you have your DD-368 for the Army, you're going to take that with you to go take the test. Because if you drive 3F or whatever hours to the nearest Army base that gives it, and you don't have the 368, sorry, see you later. My suggestion to you is call ahead, make sure that you have all the paperwork that they need, okay? And then we'll let you get into
some other things.
Yes.
Now we're going to talk about some things that are absolutely in your control. This applies to street to seat guys. This applies to prior service, branch transfer, whatever you're trying to do to get accepted to this program. These are things that you need to take deadly serious, because it's all part of the competition once your packet goes for selection. First and foremost, you got to write a full-page typed statement. I call it a statement. Letter.
Personal statement.
Personal statement, and it's titled, Why I Want to Be an Army Aviator. Now, Fort Rucker gets about 1 million of these a year, right? And everybody says, I want to fly helicopters because helicopters are cool. Everybody knows helicopters are awesome. That's not what the Army's looking for in this program. They're trying to develop not only a helicopter pilot, but they're looking for future leaders for the Army, a warrant officer. As an officer, your first and main duty is to lead. You know, you're a technical expert, obviously, but you got to be able to lead, because what's the point of having an officer in the cockpit if he can't lead his crew? So what I personally did, and I don't know how you set up your letter.
Probably the same way.
Yeah, but I set up my letter as what I can bring to the Army as a potential leader, whether that be through growth programs that are given within the Army, or what I bring just as a person to the Army. They're looking for leaders. So don't set up this letter, why I want to be an Army aviator, because you want to fly. Everybody wants to fly.
I want to blow shit up.
Or you wouldn't be here.
Okay, cool.
So really, when you go into this, show the Army that you bring much more to the table than the aptitude to fly a helicopter. That's just one tiny thing on this packet that you're going to have to do for you as well, right?
Yeah.
Why I want to be an Army aviator.
So we do it a little differently. So this goes on, it's a form that you're going to download from the USAREC website. And we forgot to kind of put this up there, so I'm going to put the link across the bottom. Okay, go to that website. I'm not going to make it a hyperlink because I'm not that technologically advanced on computers, but I'll give you the link, okay? There's a download page. You're going to go to the Warrant Officer Recruiting area, and then it's going to go Warrant Officer Downloads, okay? Download every freaking form that's on that, because you're going to need it, okay? And it's a pain in the butt to get them all filled out, but you need it, okay? So for us, we don't do the personal statement anymore. I was actually writing a personal statement because I was working with a recruiter and didn't know what he was doing, okay? But what I did was I actually copied and pasted my personal statement into the comments section of the Warrant Officer resume, okay? This resume is all the duty stations you've ever been to, any deployment you've ever done, leadership positions you've held at your command, and so on and so forth, okay? And then a bunch of references and all that kind of crap. But the comment section is where you're going to put that personal statement, why I want to be. And what I did is I said, I understand, and I put that in freaking like the thesis point, is I understand that being a warrant officer pilot in the United States Army, first of all, entails being a warrant officer, to piggyback on what he was saying, okay? So I understand my responsibility as a warrant officer first, pilot second, and then I went off of that. So,
street to seat guys, you do actually have it typed. So I know it's going to be different. These are overlapping videos. We're trying to cover all bases here. But for you street to seat guys, your high school to flight school guys, you will actually type a statement. Next is you actually have to upload in your packet a full-length portrait of yourself. You actually have to take a photo of yourself. I did it in a suit, because I was taking it deadly serious and I wanted to give myself the best presentation possible. I went out and got a brand new haircut. I got my suit dry cleaned. I presented it against a backdrop. I got it professionally done, because this is their first impression of a person that they're going to give a blank check for $1 million with your name on it to the Army. So you're trying to give yourself the best first impression. Like, what is it? First impressions last forever. So this is your first shot at them seeing you and being like, this guy's squared away.
And the perception is reality.
Exactly. We're going to invest into this guy. So when it comes time to go take your full-length portrait, like I said, go get a brand new haircut. Make sure you're clean shaved. Make sure that you're presenting the package you want the selection board to see. You took one too, correct?
Yeah, but you use a DA photo. So for you guys in the service already, you guys should know what a DA photo is. Everyone should have one. If you don't, they do them everywhere. I know on base they got a lot of places that do them.
Okay.
Get a DA photo. Have all your stuff. And oh, by the way, make sure you actually own all the ribbons you're wearing, and then they're in the right order. Because a lot of people get the ribbon thing screwed up because we don't get checked on it too much.
And like we said,
make
first impression.
Right. Okay. And actually, to go back to that resume real quick, it is a USAREC form 3.2. That's on your downloads. So that's what that one is.
Next, you're going to have to, you want to talk about letters of recommendation?
Yes, letters of recommendation.
So listen, This is probably as important, if not more so important, than your SIFT, than your ASVAB, than every kind of aptitude you've done so far. And the reason is, it shows your willingness to work off the clock, or however you want to call it, in finding the right network and being able to go out and get people to support your goal, your dream, whatever you want to call it, as being a warrant officer. You have to go out and you have to get, for street to seat guys, it's minimum 3, maximum 6.
Same for you.
You need to do 6.
For your service
For your
guys.
street to seat guys, you need to do 6, and you have to get a well round. One of them
Get 6.
is you have to get, you know, a senior warrant officer aviator. You have to get, you know, some civilian guys. Now, don't go out to your next door neighbor and be like, Billy Bob Joe is awesome. I've lived next to him for 20 years, and he takes the garbage out every Wednesday. You know what I'm saying?
Make sure to mow the hell out of that grass.
Does an awesome job. You need to go out there, you need to stack this packet. Like we talked about, this program is incredibly competitive. So there's guys who are going to come in with 2-star general LORs, and there's guys who are going to come in with congressman LORs. And what they're looking for in selection is your willingness to go out and get uncomfortable. You're going to have to get out, you're going to have to make phone calls, you're going to see, who do you know that I can use, who knows him, who once went to college with this guy. Anyways, it took me 6 months, literally 6 months, to get 6 letters of recommendation. And I took it deadly serious. I drove all the way to Fort Bliss, Texas, from Arizona to meet with a CW5 who made me sit down and go through an interview process and prove that I was, you know, who I said I was. You're going to put in work. And like we said earlier, the Army is looking for you to put that work in, because this is no joke, amazing opportunity for you street to seat guys.